Hello everyone, my name is Whitney Johnson and I am delighted to be with you this afternoon to talk about building a high-performing team. I first of all want to talk with you about what you are going to learn, which is number one, how to accelerate your personal growth, number two, how to help your colleagues grow, and number three, how that will help you build a high-performing team. Before I do that though, I want to tell you a quick story to introduce the topic. A few years ago, I was invited to speak in Peru, and when you go to Peru, of course, you have to go to Machu Picchu. Well, there's this mountain that you can climb, and that's where I took this picture. Obviously, you can also tour the village, but as we're climbing this mountain, which was a very hard climb, toward the top of the mountain, there start to be very, very narrow pathways, only about 3 feet wide. There were no ropes, there were no guardrails, so if we had slipped, we would have fallen. As you surmise, we made it to the top of the mountain, but on the way back down, we had a fellow hiker stop our guide, whose name was Carlos, and ask him the question, is it a problem? And Carlos says, and I'll say it in Spanish first, nunca es problema, siempre es aprendizaje. Loosely translated, that means it's never a problem, it's always about learning. What? We just climbed this mountain. It was hard. It was terrifying. We could have died, and it's always about learning. Well, that has certainly stayed with me. I have wondered many times, how do we get to the point where, whether we're climbing the mountain of Machu Picchu, we're climbing the mountain of COVID, climbing the mountain of our career or of our lives, how do we get to the point where it is always about learning? Well, in my experience, if you want to climb the mountain, it helps by having a map. And the S curve of learning is that map. Now, the S curve was originally popularized by E.M. Rogers in 1962, and we used it at our Disruptive Innovation Fund to help us figure out how quickly an innovation would be adopted. At the base of the S, growth is slow until a tipping point is reached, or the knee of the curve, and as you approach saturation, the growth tapers off. As we are investing, though, I have this insight, this aha, that the S curve could also help us understand how we learn and how we grow. Whenever you start something new, you are at the base of the S, the bottom of the mountain, and growth is happening, but it feels slow. It can feel like a slog. You can feel discouraged and impatient, but that also helps you understand, okay, this is normal. I'm just at the launch point of the curve. It's supposed to feel slow. As you put in the effort, you accelerate into competence, and with this comes confidence, and this is the exciting part of the curve where all your neurons are firing. It's hard, but not too hard, easy, but not too easy. That's why it's called the sweet spot. And then as you approach mastery, things will become easy. So you had slow, and then you had fast, and now you have slow, because your growth had started to slow down. You're no longer enjoying the feel-good effects of learning, and you can get sort of bored. And in order for you to continue to grow, you either need to jump to a new learning curve or continue climbing and consider this to be a summit, but not the summit. So this is what I want you to think about, is the S curve of learning is a simple visual model to help you understand what growth looks like. And when you understand what growth looks like, you increase your capacity to grow, not only your own, but also the people on your team. And when you understand where everybody is in their growth and you help them grow, you'll build a high-performing team.